Hello everyone, Nihilo here, and today I wanted to talk about Brianna Wu. So, some have said to not indulge her at all with any sort of talk. And the idea here is that she will fade into obscurity if we don't give her any attention. Now, personally, I disagree with this strategy. For one, she's way too prominent at this point in the media to just fade off. She's taken the stage and she is without a doubt the largest voice against Gamergate, meaning her narrative will be the main opposition as we enter the mainstream media. We cannot just avoid her as we wish to. It's too late for that, and whether it be a reporter or Wu herself, we will be fighting her words. However, I think she has a problem so essential to herself that we may have a new plan of action unfolding, and I call it Wu's Folly. There are two parts of Wu's Folly, and I call them aid and illness, and I'll begin with how she aids Gamergate. When Wu goes to the press, what do we find happens? She stokes the fire and reinvigorates us. She brings the controversies that help spark our interest again. This makes our fire much greater and more sustainable. But her mere presence is not the only way she aids us. She also brings focus to Gamergate in the media streams and ties her false narrative to it. We follow her footsteps by deflecting every ad hominem and poor argument she makes. We react with the sparked rage and aim our grievances at those publications or stations that she appeared on. They then see us for what we are, passionate gamers who want to talk. They see that Wu's side is not the only viable viewpoint. For example, Ricky of Huffington Post's live show was hit with a lot of messages following the Wu interview. He found out that he did not cover the entire story because we let him know. So much so that he brought in an all-female panel of pro-Gamergate women. This allowed our message to be spread to correct the misinformation and lies. It allows us to show that her side is just an emotional appeal to pity, and that blaming us for death threats is laughable at best. So, Wu, in her attempt to stomp us out, actually adds to the power, force, and focus of Gamergate. She is allowing us to actually combat her points by uniting us against herself and fanning our flame. Her floundering and her blunders are helping to grow our movement, while also helping to sustain it. She then unintentionally focuses our passionate feelings and condemnation onto that news source, allowing us to hopefully bolster our presence on the network or publication. Next, I'll address the illness aspect of Wu's Folly. What brought Wu to prominence were the death threats that she received. It was widely reported, and anyone looking for Gamergate news would have surely come across it. These death threats, while absolutely horrific, have been used by Wu as a way for her to present her narrative and try to put Gamergate down as a hate group terrorizing women in the industry. So what does this do? It brings publicity to the issue. And sure, she spins her narrative, and I'll get to that in a minute. But what she does is allow Gamergate to be a thing beyond Twitter and beyond the gaming industry. She popularizes it where independents can see it. Now, some might think this is dangerous. Independents are going to hear her first and instantly be impacted. But I doubt her impact will be too substantial in pulling independents, as I believe she is quite possibly one of the worst spokespeople for the anti-gate. This is where the illness comes in. Wu makes several major mistakes in her presentation. She comes off like a zealous train wreck of a human being in both her speech and in her looks. Her language is off-putting with words like literal war on women, which is never a good phrase in our socially and politically charged world. So I feel her language is too strong to coerce an independent into her side and to make them feel pity for the women in this industry. Secondly, her physical presentation lends itself to her cause. She comes off like a crazy homeless person who just ate a burger from a greasy Jack-in-the-Box bag found in a New York metro. Now, don't think she just got up and said, "All right, I'm ready for national television." No, she knew very well what this look would convey. A distraught woman torn from her home. Doesn't that reinforce a narrative, though? In the mind of the media, maybe. But I question its value in making an argument. So let me delve into debate presentation a bit to express why her attempts will always be lackluster and ultimately unconvincing. When trying to be persuasive, you need to establish an ethos, which is basically your authority to speak on the subject. Typical methods include big words, nice clothing, good looks, charm, and a level head. She cannot accomplish any of this. Her vernacular and diction is nothing special, if not too abrasive. Her clothing and style is similar to that of a woman who just woke up and is recovering from a massive hangover. You can find more charm in your bowl of cereal. And her head is, well, not level. She comes off as a zealot, which of course is off-putting, especially to people who are undecided. I compare her to a puritanical religious man, who is so extreme that even the vast majority of the fellow believers try to distance themselves away from him, let alone independence. So, ultimately, we have both aid to our side and a debilitating illness on their side, which makes up Wu's folly. She not only unites and focuses us stronger than ever before, she also opens up the pathway to mainstream media and independent viewers who do not buy her shit. So, how do we approach? Simple. She does her thing and comes off like a witch. We retaliate with words, not threats, towards the stations and publications along with her arguments. The media then reacts to us and the interest in the subject by showing more than Wu's side. She is simply a dog with rabies, and we only need to let her scare everybody away before consumers put the dog down. And note, this is not a death threat, just an analogy. Don't get your panties in a twist. This is because Wu's folly is, in actuality, Brianna Wu herself. So we need to do what seems irrational. We need to let Wu keep going while challenging her every move. We need to let people know this issue is broader than this zealous woman has tried to share. As Napoleon once said, quote, "Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake," end quote. We have a new harbinger of Gamergate, and I don't think she even knows it.